Krajco was of the first survivors who talked about narcissistic abuse under her real name. She died unexpectedly in her home 2008. She was 56 years old. I suspect the narc hive mind was behind her death. In her book, What Makes Narcissists Tick?, Krajco says, Narcissists' Rules of Engagement. Narcissists are often described as vampires, or emotional vampires, and it is highly likely that the mythological character of the vampire was originally intended to symbolize this type of person. In art, literature, and sacred scriptures, blood is a symbol of suffering that drains some of the life out of us. Vampires feed on it. Keep in mind that you can cause more suffering, draw more blood, by punching a child than by punching a grown man. It is the same with moral assaults. The same treatment will more deeply wound some people than others. Through whom and when they attack, you can deduce the narcissist's rules of engagement. The opportunity to do damage to another comes in many forms. Rules of engagement. A narcissist who can be held to account for what he does won't attack in the light of day, only in the dark where there are no witnesses, so that afterwards it's just the victim's word against the narcissists. Only narcissists who can abuse practically everyone around them with impunity make no effort to be careful, like Stalin, Hitler, Pol Pot, and Saddam Hussein. Narcissists who are administrators in private, non-profit organizations are just as bold as that institution's impunity allows them to be, impunity gained by a Teflon reputation, by stonewalling justice, and by keeping their tax-exempt books and records closed. A narcissist prefers the most vulnerable prey available, people who will be most deeply wounded by abuse. So preferred prey include those with the most reason to trust them, such as immediate family members, good friends, and benefactors who have earned their gratitude. Children, the younger and more vulnerable the better. People with low self-esteem and filled with self-doubt. Meek or gentle people loath to fight back. The powerless and defenseless, such as employees, people already looked down on, people smaller or of the weaker sex. A narcissist will not attack someone who can just get and stay away from him. Instead he abuses someone trapped, who must just take it. That gives the narcissist the high of absolute power and control over the victim. A narcissist will not attack someone he fears retaliation from. All but one element in these rules is self-explanatory. So, before we look at illustrating examples, let's see why the list of preferred prey includes benefactors. 4. It isn't obvious why benefactors are so vulnerable. Think of someone you've done great good for. Being repaid with hatred would go right through you like a knife, wouldn't it? That's because giving to people, aiding them, or sacrificing for them in any way, makes us love them. That might sound like it's getting the cart before the horse, but it isn't. As a lifeguard, I discovered what a tremendous emotional experience saving someone is, even in a minor shallow water rescue where you just jumped in and carried a panicking kid out. Boom, you don't know why, but you somehow connect with that frightened kid and suddenly love him as much as his mother does. Every day, we see and hear of people giving to, aiding, and risking their lives for, and even sacrificing their lives for total strangers, often strangers in another country half a world away. So, we certainly don't have to love people to sacrifice for them. But, having cared for them, we care for them. We value ourselves, so when we sacrifice for somebody, we like to think they're worth the spending of our valuable selves. This gives them value in our eyes, and we love them for it, even if we didn't love them before. In fact, self-sacrifice is a strong motivating force behind love, as in the love of a mother for her children. Nobody loves anyone more than his or her mother, and that's precisely because a mother sacrifices so much for her child. And who can those children wound more deeply than their mother? So, the more we have given to others, the more deeply they can hurt us. Here's another example: shedding our blood for France twice made America love France. We greatly wanted the French to appreciate the precious sacrifice by loving us for it. Nobody who sends his son to die in war can bear to think his precious son died for ingrates who devalue the precious sacrifice through anti-gratitude. So, we had to love the land so many of us died to liberate, the land where so many of our sons are buried. It would kill us to think we wasted 50 to 60 years of 500,000 American lives on a hostile ingrate who hates his debtor. This is why paying us back with the anti-gratitude of French anti-American hatred wounds us so deeply. What's more, a benefactor has every good reason to trust those he's aided, because they have anti-reason to wish him ill. This is why benefactors are so easily blindsided by narcissists. France's treatment of America over the past 50 years bears a striking resemblance to malignant narcissism, and Americans have responded exactly like the abused victims of any narcissist do. We blame ourselves for their conduct, thinking there must be some reason for it. And we walk on eggshells in a futile effort to make ourselves pleasing and acceptable to the French. Like all the victims of narcissists, we naively don't realize that doing this plays right into their hands. Also, be sure to look at those rules of engagement carefully and notice that the victim isn't always small or defenseless. He's often just someone with too much integrity and self-respect to get down to the narcissist's level. If such a person makes the mistake of letting the narcissist get away with being childish, he or she is teaching the narcissist that being childish gets what he wants. The victim can, and often is, an altruist, a gentle person in whom patience is a virtue. If such a person doesn't sense the malignant threat in a narcissist, he or she may just put up with one. In fact, the victim can be someone strong and powerful, someone who can't bring himself to whack that little guy. Similarly, in many families the husband is abused by a narcissistic wife who may even physically batter him. He doesn't dare hit back. He's in an impossible situation. Real men don't hit women, but they're not supposed to get battered by women either. Similarly, most of the world thinks it's a crime for America to strike back against a small country harboring terrorists, as if the size difference takes away our right to defend ourselves. That puts us in an impossible situation. In this case, the victim is often like the elephant in a jungle. He has no natural enemies, only unnatural ones, and doesn't feel threatened by this peasant. A good example is the way the United States has always responded to anti-Americanism. Till 9/11 we felt it couldn't hurt us. We were wrong. That narcissist is always attacking your character to others. A kind of voodoo assault on your image that will eventually bring down even the world's only superpower if he keeps allowing it by turning the other cheek. For an example of a narcissist switching attack mode on and off. Like a knee-jerk reflex. It shows that the narcissist instinctively perceives when there may be witnesses and when it's safe to take his mask off. Now here are two more examples. They show that narcissists like any form of vulnerability. So, they don't just attack people dependent on them, in their household, in any situation that keeps others trapped and unable to get away from them, they attack. A narcissist ran a stoplight, hitting another vehicle broadside. The victim was unhurt and approached to see if the narcissist was injured. Seeing that he was a senior citizen made the victim feel sorry for him, so he was all set to be nice about it when, wham, the narcissist attacked him. Using egregiously foul and abusive language, he flew into a rage, lyingly and irrationally blaming the victim for the accident, threatening him, and treating him like dirt. The poor victim had no choice but to remain there and take it, for he didn't dare leave the scene of the accident. But the moment the cop arrived, the narcissist underwent an instantaneous face change. He became a poor, meek little old man who wouldn't hurt a fly, someone people should cut a lot of slack. One aged narcissist I know of had gotten away with so much for so long that he felt he could get away with anything, especially since he was old and people therefore felt they had to take whatever he dished out. So he screamed curses and obscenities at the top of his lungs at everybody who came near to take care of him in the hospital. He even tried to hit them by flailing at them with both arms. Like a colicky infant throwing an all-out temper tantrum. Or a sick animal who wants to bite the veterinarian. He would not tolerate anything, even a stethoscope. By pressing his button the minute the staff could get away from him, he kept forcing them to keep coming back for more abuse. The moment the doctor or minister walked in, however, he underwent a startling, split-second transfiguration into sweet little old Mr. Nice Guy. The staff soon noticed that his fits were as predictable as clockwork. He threw one whenever the nurses had something to do besides care for him. He had a hole in his head for the fact that they were highly educated, highly paid healthcare professionals. To him they were just women, there to watch over him like mothers and to perform menial services, such as telling him what time it was and holding the phone for him. It took me a long time to notice that a narcissist's trigger is simply a chance to get away with attacking someone. They have the instincts of a predator. Like a wolf who gets a sniff of lamb and breeze, they sense a chance to get away with trampling someone. When they get told, they take advantage of their carte blanche to do anything, but before that they normally just make sure that afterwards it'll just be the victim's word against the narcissists. And the narcissist has behaved so outrageously that nobody believes the victim. Everybody thinks the one telling them the story is crazy one. Which is irrational. All they really know is that either the plaintiff or defendant is crazy, and they shouldn't pretend to know which one.